Okay. Hi, welcome to Instructor Live. My name is Sam. This is Pilates for Conditions. Today we're going to be focusing on chronic back pain, so let's get started. Right, so let's start off, and a lot of back issues generally start initially from a bad posture or an injury, so we're just going to focus on getting our posture in a nice alignment. So I'm going to give you the side version. You want to have your feet in a parallel alignment. So just to get there, you're going to bring your feet together, open out your toes, then open out your heels. And that's what we call parallel. So parallel alignment, you're going to soften your knees a little bit, especially if you get really tight in the back of those legs. Draw the abs into the spine. So it's a feeling of the belly button drawing into the spine. You can do a little bit of a tilt of the pelvis, get those glutes working. Very important muscle group for those of you who do have back issues. So we're going to lengthen up. Imagine we've got a string attached to the top of our head and it's lengthening up the spine, and then we're just relaxing those shoulders nice and heavy. You don't want to jut the jaw out, you want to keep it in line and always just have that sense of elongation through the body. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit of a warm-up. We're going to take it quite gently. We're just going to shrug the shoulders up to the ears, then roll them around. We're warming them up because we're going to be doing some work just now on our 4-point kneeling position. So we're just rolling through, just warming up, and then we're going to take it into an arm circle, looking up to the ceiling, looking down to the floor. Breathing in and breathing out. Really open out that chest, lengthen up and release back down. So let's go into the side now. Big breath in, arm reaches up to the ceiling. We're going to tuck our rib cage down and into the spine. Bend the knees and side bend over. So we're stretching the side of the body. Often with chronic back issues, we start to get all rigid and we don't have much flexibility in the torso anymore. So that's why we need to stretch and train that flexibility as well as strength. So side bend to the other side. Again, remember to bend your knees. Breathing into the side of the body. And then slowly coming back up. Right, we're going to cross our elbows and then bring the hands together if you can. I'll give you the side version of that. Cross the elbows, hands together. Shoulders are pulling down the back as the hands reach up to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in so you're feeling the stretch between the shoulder blades. And then slowly release down. Cross the elbows the other way. Don't worry if you can't get to your hands, just as long as the elbows are crossed. Shoulders down, hands reach up, big breath in. And then slowly release back down. Give those arms a little bit of a shake. Now, we're going to stretch out the inner thighs a little bit. So we're going to open out our legs quite wide with the feet turned out. We're going to use our hands for support, and we're just going to bend the knees, and you're going to push your bottom out. So you're not collapsing in the spine, you're just moving forward, catching yourself with your abs, and then resting the elbows onto the thighs. If it's too low and you're not comfortable going that low, you can just use it on your hands. That's fine. But we're stretching those inner thighs. Try use the arms and hands to open up those legs, breathing into it. Whenever you talk about chronic back issues, you want to always think about your abs, a very big muscle group that will help protect and stabilize the back. And then slowly to come up, one hand onto the thigh, other hand onto the thigh, and then slowly pushing back up. Okay, give those legs a good little shake. Right, so usually what we tend to do is a bit of a roll down just to mobilize the spine, but especially if you've been suffering from chronic back issues, we're going to do a slightly different version for that, okay? So I'm going to give you the front version and I'm going to give you the side version. So the front version goes like this. You're going to open your legs quite wide. You're going to bend your knees. Rest your hands onto your thighs, okay? Push that bum backwards so you're nice and supported in the structure. Then, keeping a flat back, back, you're going to lower down. So again, you're going to push that bum out as you lower down. Then drop the head, drop the shoulders, and then imagine your rib cage is being pulled up to the ceiling and then coming up. So I'll give you the side version. You're going down with a flat back, drop the head, drop the shoulders, scoop and round the spine, squeezing the glutes as you come up. Then push back, down, squeeze the glutes, roll back up. So we're not hanging from the lower back, we're stretching the mid and upper back as well as from the pelvis. And two more. Straight back down, round. Use your abs to pull and stretch the spine. Squeeze those glutes as we come up. Last one. And bend and squeeze the glutes. Come up, roll up through the spine, and then coming up, give those arms and legs a good shake. Right, so we're going to go down into 4-point kneeling and do a little bit of core stability work. Really important to be able to work and support that spine. So to get down onto the floor, either you can use a chair or a wall to get down. I'll show you another version though. You're going to take one step forward, hands rest onto that thigh, curl the back toes, and you're just going to drop down onto that knee. Bring the other knee so you're in this lovely shortened version of yourself, and then you're just gently going to sit back, hand onto the floor, and then come down. So that's a safe way to get down onto the floor that's not going to aggravate your back. So we're going to turn around onto all fours. So hands come underneath the shoulders, knees come underneath the back. Underneath the hips. It's because I'm about to talk about the back now. So we're going to do a very low impact release exercise. It's called cat stretch. It's really important that when you start to get these back issues, that you're still keeping a little bit of movement and mobility through them. So rounding the spine into this position, then push your bottom out, come back to a flat back position. So anytime you're feeling a little bit stiff because you've been protecting that injury for quite a while, this is a really good release exercise that you can do. Do it slowly at your own pace. Use your glutes, which are your bum muscles, to just help support the pelvis and get it in that position too. Now we're going to take it into a different kind of stretch. So we're going to come up into a cat stretch, then bend one elbow, take the other arm and thread it through, getting down as low as you can, ideally so you're resting your shoulder on the floor, but don't worry if you can't get it that low. Then using the hand that's on the floor to push yourself back up, open out to the other side. Again, this is getting a little bit more movement through the torso, so we're not so rigid, and all of that blood flow is going to help relieve all that tension that you're holding. So scooping up and threading through, other side, breathing into the stretch, abs drawing in, glutes start squeezing together as you lift yourself up, hand up to the ceiling, and release back down. We're going to walk our hands over to one side and then sit back into that lovely stretch. Again, very safe way of getting the back and the torso nicely stretched out. Walk those fingertips away from yourself, breathing into it. And then coming up, walk over to the other side and sitting back, getting a lovely stretch. And then coming back to center. Okay, now we're going to do a bit of core stability work. Really, really important to be able to maintain some sense of balance. When we're able to do that, you'll find that a lot of pain gets alleviated through that. So let's start. One arm lifts off the mat. Then make sure you're not collapsing on the other shoulder. Lift up through the chest. We're going to straighten the opposite leg off the mat. So we're balancing there. Now, holding this position, by holding a position, you can really get a sense of where everything should be sitting. Make sure you're not twisting your pelvis. You want a nice level pelvis. You should be able to balance a drink of water on the back of it and have a feeling of drawing your belly button into your spine. Slowly release back down, other side, and lengthening through. Working that glutes, abs drawing into the spine, holding it there. And then slowly release back down. And a couple more each side. So breathing out, lengthening through, trying to balance, abs drawing in. Sometimes I make things look a lot easier than they actually are. So I do apologize. But you should be working quite hard in this, especially if you've had a history of chronic back issues. And then release back down. Once more each side, breathing out and breathing in. Other side, and lengthening through. Keep that chest lifted and then slowly come off those wrists. Again, another lovely stretch to do, nice shell stretch. Breathing into the back of that rib cage. Okay, now we're going to go into a half plank, okay? Very quick way of getting those core muscles nice and strong, which help to protect the back. So I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to come down onto our elbows, and we're going to just rest our knees and thighs onto that mat. So because everybody's different, and some might have a more severe case of chronic back issues compared to the other, I'll give you a few variations and I'll leave it up to you. So to get yourself set up, you're going to have elbows underneath the shoulders, lift up through the chest. We're going to curl the toes underneath us and then have a feeling as if you've got a cloth pulling you up from underneath your tummy up onto your knees. So we're holding it up in this position, and you want to have the feeling of lifting your belly button into the spine. Don't collapse into that lower back. You're trying to strengthen it, not strain it. If you're finding this is too easy, you're more than welcome to lift the knees and come into a full version. Okay? Otherwise, I'm going to put my knees down and I'm just going to hold it there for another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then slowly release back down. We're going to do one more set like that. If you had the knees for the first version and found it quite easy and want a little bit more of a challenge, we're going to go into the full version with the knees off the floor. So lift up through the chest, curl the toes. I'm going to do the full version, but again, leave it up to you which one you'd prefer to do. Breathing out. We're going to lift the whole pelvis off, holding it there. If you can't hold for 10 seconds, you can only do 5, that's fine too. Work within your limitations and make sure that you're keeping a record of it so you can notice your progress as we go. And another 3, 2, 1, slowly lower back down to that mat. Lying onto your tummy, place your arms to the side and just give that back a little bit of a wiggle there. Should feel quite nice. Okay, right. So coming up, pushing yourself up. I want to now go into the side of the body. Really important to make sure that we're nice and stable in the side. So we're going to lie down onto our side, resting our bottom hand underneath our head. We're going to have our legs bent up, and you want to set your pelvis up first. Very important is to have that feeling of lifting your waistline off the mat while the top hip pulls away from the shoulder. This sets up your pelvis so you're not collapsing and twisting and doing all sorts of things in the pelvis and the lower back. Now we're going to work into the glutes. Really important muscle group to work as they support and hold the pelvis in the best position for that back. If the pelvis isn't in the good position, the back's going to start to compensate and feel the strain. So opening up the top leg, we're going to go into clams, breathing out, breathing in. And this is a really good exercise for also opening up your hips while strengthening those glutes. And let's do another 5, 4, 3. Keep your eyeline view up. And last one, and release back down. Straighten that top leg away. Flex that foot. And we're going to do little circles. We're going to do 8 in each direction. Going 1, 2. Make sure you're pushing back and clenching into that glute. I want you to feel it working. Don't just use momentum to swing that leg around. That's it. Good. And 2, 1. Change direction. 8, 7, 6. And take note of how everything's feeling in each exercise on this side, and we'll have a comparison on the other side. Sometimes we have all sorts of imbalances in the body which cause other strains or back issues, so it's good to take note of these and release back down. Give it a bit of a rub if you need to. Okay, straightening the legs along the mat. Now, using your hand for support so that you're not wobbling all over the place, you're going to keep the bottom leg on the floor. We're going to lift the top leg up to what we call hip height, okay? So it's just where it is. And then we're going to squeeze the bottom leg to meet it. Lower the bottom leg back down. Make sure, and very important, as you're doing this movement, you're not rolling your pelvis backwards. The minute it does that, the back's going to start to kick in. So you should not feel this in your back at all. And we're going to do another 5, 4. Check your alignment. Try keep your shoulders nice and relaxed. 2. And last one, we're going to hold it there. And we're going to, if you can, lift your hand up to the ceiling. So we're going to try balance there. And this gives you a sense of where you should be. If you're feeling it in your back, you're not correctly aligned, you might need to bring your pelvis forward a little bit or bring your legs forward a little bit. Use those abs. You should feel it in the waistline, the glutes, a little bit of the inner thighs. We're going to hold for another 5 seconds. 4. Keep breathing. And 2, 1. And then slowly release back down. Okay, right. Let's go over to the other side. So coming up, swing your legs around. Stay facing me. And then lying onto your side. Bottom hand underneath the head. Legs are bent. Then we're going to open up the top knee. So it's called clams. And we're going to do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release back down. Okay, straighten the top leg. Flex the foot. We're going to go into leg circles. Going 8, 7, 6. Notice how this side compares to the other side. You may find you've got one bottom cheek a little bit stronger than the other. Take note of that, and next time always do a few extra repetitions on your weaker side. Change direction. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release back down. Give it a good little rub there. Okay, straighten the legs along the mat. Use your hand for support. Abs tucked into the spine. It's going to be said a lot as we go through the different sessions. We're going to hover the top leg up. Breathing out. Squeeze the bottom leg to meet it. Lower back down. And another 8, 7. Remember, depending on the severity of your condition, do as much as you can. If you can't do as many repetitions as I'm suggesting, then just do a few less. We'll gradually build your strength up. Just do it at your own pace. And last one, we're going to hold it there. Trying to balance, if we can, lift the hand up off the mat. Working into the waistline in the side of the torso over here. Breathing into it again. You shouldn't feel this in your back. If you are, bring your legs forward. Use your abs a little bit more. And another 3 seconds. 2, 1, and slowly release back down. Okay, right. Lying onto your back. So, often when we've got the chronic back issues, it's really important just to release the pain. So this is a really good stretch for those lower back issues. Really hugging the legs into the chest, drawing it in as close as the body will allow, breathing into that stretch. You can even lift your head up a little bit, stretching the top half of the spine. And then you're going to have your hands, one on each knee, feet stay together. We're going to open out those knees and we're going to circle around. Very good releasing movement for those hips, which can often get quite tight because of the back issue. We're going to just circle around, just some gentle release. You can do this, I suggest, every morning before you even get out of bed. Often people, when they've been going through a long period of pain, they just don't want to move, they don't want to do any exercise, but actually it's so much better for you because you can cope better with the pain and relieve a lot more of the pain if you keep your body moving. Then straighten one leg along the mat. You're going to bring the other leg, it's going to be bent, and we're going to just gently draw it across the body. Just a small little turning of that leg, so you get a bit of a stretch here in the side of the leg and in the glute. If you're feeling it a little bit in the hip there, straighten the leg. Play around, see which one works best for you. Very important to stretch out the pelvis and legs as well. They support the spine and the back, so you want to make sure that they're also mobile and nice and flexible. Stretching across, bring the leg back up into the chest and then release back down. Other side, and hug the leg in. Nice and tight, stretching through. And then with the bent leg, you're going to bring it across the body. Again, just as far as you feel comfortable, making sure your shoulders still on the floor. You can play around. You can do it with a straight leg, breathing into that lovely stretch. You can do this before you even get out of bed in the morning. And then slowly coming back, hug it into the chest again, and then placing your feet down onto the floor. So we're going to do again some nice gentle, completely low impact exercise. So it's going to be the pelvic tilt. So watch my pelvis if you're not sure what the movement is. Very good way to mobilize the area without putting any strain in it. So we're going to imagine we've got a little clock face on our pelvis. Our belly button being 12, pubic bone being 6, 3 and 9 each hip bone. And we're just going to rock up to 12, imprinting the lower back into the floor, and then release the tailbone down to 6, and that's going to be a neutral pelvis. So we just gently tilting the pelvis, squeeze those sitting bones together, and then releasing back. It doesn't matter how big the movement is, but as long as you're moving that pelvis, try keep your rib cage locked down to the mat. Tilt and release. Breathing out, breathing in. So if you're having a particularly bad day, this is a really good exercise just to get down onto the floor and just let gravity and a little bit of those glutes help you release any tension in that back. Now we're going to go all around in a circle, okay? So do it slowly. Don't worry if you can't get this first time. It can be a bit of a challenge. We're going to tilt the pelvis up to 12. Then drop the hip down to 3. Then down to 6. Lift up to the other hip, which is 9 and 12. So you're just drawing a little circle on that pelvis, on that mat with the pelvis, and really stretching and mobilizing that whole sacrum area. And then change direction, throwing a little bit of a spanner in the works there, just drawing a nice circle with the back of the pelvis on that mat. Trying to keep the legs as still as possible, although there will be a little bit of movement. And then coming back to center, arms by your side. Now, tilt the pelvis, so we're going up to 12, imprinting the lower back. Squeeze your glutes, slowly start to peel the spine off the mat, resting onto your shoulders. Big breath in, keep those glutes activated, arms come above the head. Leaving the arms there, we're going to sigh down the spine. One vertebra at a time. Use those abs to guide the spine down to the mat and then bring the arms back down. Okay, hands come behind the head. Big breath in to prepare. We're going to do the same movements. We're going to tilt the pelvis, lift the pelvis so we rest it onto those shoulders. Big breath in. As you start to ripple back down, the head and shoulders start to lift up, so you're finishing in your ab curl. And we're going to now lower the shoulder blades to the mat and then slide back up into the abs. Breathing in to go back, breathing out to curl back up. Inhale to go back, 2 more. And make sure you're keeping that release of the tailbone. So we're curling up and we're going to hold it there. Now, take it slow. We're going to slowly pull the belly button down, pick one leg up to tabletop. And then breathing out, pick the other leg up to meet it. If this is too much load for you, I'm going to show you a different version. You're going to just open your knee to the side and then bring it back. And then open to the side and bring it back. Otherwise, picking one leg up, then the other leg. Lower the leg back down. So we're just practicing loading the abs, keeping the shoulders off the mat. And we're going to do one more set. Big breath in, big breath out, lower one leg, then the other leg, and release back down. Okay, right, opposite ankle over opposite knee, grabbing the other leg and drawing it into the chest. Again, another very important stretch to do, just to release any tension there, especially in those hamstrings if they get quite tight. And then slowly release down over to the other side, ankle onto knee, grab the other leg and draw it into the chest. Breathing into that lovely stretch. Again, you can hold these for as long as you like. We're coming to the end of the class now, but if you want to stay down and finish those for a bit longer, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, coming up into standing. So again, to get up safely, you're going to come up onto your knees, pick one leg up in front of you, curl the back toes of the other leg, and then use your hands to lift yourself up off that mat. Shake out the legs, shake out the arms, big breath in, arms circle up, and then circle back. Breathing in and breathing out. So there's a lot more exercises we can do. This is just the first class for chronic back issues. If you have any questions and you weren't able to answer them during the session, you're more than welcome to go to my profile page. My name is Sam. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you next time.